all my beautiful people. Welcome to the alternate point of view. My name is Tracy Lee. Welcome back to all of my regular subscribers and faithful, and welcome to anyone who is new to this channel. I am in Arizona. As you can see, it is very bright and sunny, and it feels amazing out here. Even though it is in the 90s, it doesn't feel like in the 90s. So sorry for the lighting, and sorry if you hear any background noise, but I had to step outside so I could do this case. This is the Treadmill child abuse death case with Gregor, and the child's mother is not being charged, but she is a huge witness in this case. But the son, his name is Corey Micachillo, and the mother is Brianna Micachillo. I'm finding this case to be quite difficult to unravel because it's very murky, to say the least. But I will say what is really confusing and even sadder, I guess, is that Corey was only 6 years old, and he suffered a pretty harsh death. Apparently, he was, according to his mother, being abused, and he had literally just gotten back from the hospital the very same day that he died, which is odd because all of the ER doctors, the pediatrician checked him out, and everything was fine according to his vitals, his blood work, his everything, CAT scans, x-rays, all of the things that they looked at were all perfectly normal, other than he had bruises, 14 bruises all over his body in various stages of healing. So, you know, sometimes you can have purple bruises, blue bruises, black bruises, yellow bruises, green bruises. So they were all in various stages of healing. So the bruising were of some concern. So he was transferred to several different hospitals to be looked at and looked over, and obviously Child Protective Services were involved. And there was a custody issue going on between the two parents. So very confusing case. There's also some issue with drugs with the mother where she's concerned, but that all is background noise, okay, oddly enough, because when you hear the prosecution tell the case, right, they say that little Corey suffered from abuse from his father, who, by the way, was not in his life the first 4 years of his life. And that would make him sound like basically a deadbeat dad, right? Like he wasn't around, he wasn't in the child's life, the mother was raising him. And then suddenly he appears back into Corey's life in 2020. Well, here's the little background story about this. Brianna had Corey, and her parents were basically taking care of him, helping her raise him, and then the parents cut her off. And they were like, we're not going to do this anymore. So she had to file for assistance. And in doing so, of course, the state was like, yo, who's the father? We need to get child support from him. So that's when she named who the father was, which was Gregor. And therefore, they contacted him and said, you need to take a paternity test because we need child support from you. And in doing so, he found out he had a son. And he was like, well, if I have a son and I'm going to pay child support, I need visitation rights. I want to see my child and help raise my child. So that's when they ended up with the joint custody between Brianna and Christopher. Well, then is when Brianna becomes a meth head. Odd, right? So after she loses the help from her parents, ends up on state funding and child support and joint custody, she becomes a meth addict. And she goes into rehab. So then she temporarily loses custody of Corey to the father. And then when she gets out of treatment, she wants her child back, And suddenly there's these abuse charges. But now I would say charges, accusations, what have you, right? But then there's a video. There is a video of Christopher where he took his son to a gym, I guess his apartment gym, and he puts Corey on a treadmill, and he has Corey running, and he's going at a pretty good pace, okay, while Christopher, the father, is on the other side of the gym doing weight training. He goes over and checks on Corey on the treadmill and goes back over, does some more weight training. Corey has never stopped. He's continuously running, keeps going. The next thing you see on this video is pretty appalling. You see the father go over to the treadmill with Corey, and he jacks up the speed and the incline, and he's standing there as Corey's continuously running faster and faster and faster and trying to keep up with the speed and the incline. Dad is hiking up the speed and the incline more and more, and the kid flies off the treadmill into the floor, and the dad tells him to get back up on the treadmill, and he somehow manages to get back up on the treadmill going as fast as he can, but he goes back off the treadmill. Dad tells him, get back up on the treadmill, and the kid flies off the treadmill again. He can't even get back up on the treadmill, and he just keeps trying to get back up on the treadmill, falling off the treadmill, back up on the treadmill, falling, and he keeps hitting himself, of course, obviously face planting into the treadmill. And the father finally starts grabbing him, throwing him back out on the treadmill, and he flies off the treadmill again, picking him up, throwing him on the treadmill, flies off the treadmill again. Finally, the boy is just like, he's trying everything he can to get back on this treadmill, and eventually he does actually get on the treadmill and running at top speed. And he flies off the treadmill again. And the dad finally stops the treadmill. Okay? It looks absolutely horrendous. This poor child has like he's going, I mean, I've done Orange Theory classes before. If you guys have never done those and you've seen people go at like top speed, like that's what this kid looked like he was doing. He's 6, okay? So the dad doesn't even like wait on the kid, wait on this poor kid Corey, doesn't even wait on him in the gym. The dad's just walking ahead of him, barely holds the door open for him. He's walking way ahead of him outside the apartment, and it's just really awful to see, you know, how he treated his son. So this is on March 20th of 2021 when this occurred, okay? Now, April 2nd, April 1st into April 2nd, the mother takes Corey to the pediatrician, who then says he needs to go to the emergency room, which that emergency room sends her to another emergency room and said he needs to be transported, or you can leave against medical advice and take him there yourself, but he still needs to go to Jersey Shore Medical Center. So she takes him herself, and they look him over. They run all these tests, CT scans, x-rays, this and that and the other, and everything comes back normal other than all these 14 bruises that the pediatrician found also, the other emergency room found. Now they're finding, and they say because everything came back normal and fine, they did contact Child Protective Services, and, you know, they said he needed to be seen again, and the appointment needed to be made, and next thing you know, she returns him to his father. She's late because he had to be returned by, I think, 7, and she returned him after 9 a.m., and the father said this will be deducted from your next time with him. So they were in a real bitter argument over this child. So I don't know what happened between 9 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon on April 2nd. But within those hours, Corey will die. Shortly after 4 in the afternoon on April 2nd. Because Chris will take Corey to the hospital, another hospital, where Corey is lifeless, basically. And they are trying to revive him and figure out what's going on. And one autopsy will say that he suffered pneumonia, blunt force trauma, major abuse, sepsis, which takes 12 to 24 hours to take hold of you. It's just such an odd situation. for a child to literally go from all of his vitals and everything being normal, and then 12 hours later, like he's in sepsis. One autopsy, Dr. Michael Bodden is going to be on the stand eventually. He's on the defense side. He claims that he died of natural causes. I don't know, with all the vitals and everything being perfectly normal, what natural causes could he have died from? Also, the other autopsy said his death was undetermined because, I mean, they don't know what could have happened to him in that amount of time. The father claimed that he woke up groggy, lethargic, nauseous, something wasn't right. But again, you know, the bruising, the mother claims is child abuse, the father claims it's sports. But again, the video with the father throwing him on the treadmill at top speed and top incline could be tough love parenting, trying to toughen him up for sports? Or is this the way the father really treats him? And do you think the father was punishing the child because of the mother? Or do you think both of them were punishing this child out of spite or using this child as a punching bag because they both didn't want each other to have him? I don't know. This is a really, really sad, terrible case because something terrible happened to this little boy and no one is taking responsibility. I will say that Christopher Gregor did turn down a 30-year plea deal. He is pleading not guilty. He is very emotional in court. It is just, I'm flabbergasted by the details of this case, but also the lack of detail to this case. So let me know what you guys think about this case so far. They are going to have a 4-day weekend, so there will be no trial tomorrow or Monday. So in the meantime, I'm going to put a link in the description below of the treadmill gym video. So if you want to check that out, please do, and let me know what you guys think. Because again, this incident happened on March 20th, 2021, and poor Corey passed away April 2nd of 2021. And the mother had him in the hospital the morning of April 2nd, and he was fine. Vital signs, blood work, internally x-ray, CT scan, all of those things were done to him that morning. And he was fine, other than the bruises that they found on his body. But everything internally, all was fine. So something happened to him from the time she dropped him off to the time, well, from the time she left the hospital, let's say, to the time that Christopher took him to the hospital again. What could that be? And then there's all these different determinations from different autopsies and different medical examiners. So I feel like this is going to be a tough one to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below, please. And like, subscribe, and share. I greatly appreciate it. Also, it is Asian Heritage Month, and I did say that I would share a Korean fact. Since it is March 2nd and we are in day 2, I will give you 2 Korean facts. One is that South Korea has the lowest birth rate in the world. And number 2, South Korea has the highest suicide rate in the world. Go figure. Kamsahamnida. Thank you so much.